Didn't see that, did we? We didn't see that coming.
But we know Liverpool can be scintillating at home or going forward. And well done to them. It's a great night, and this guy's seen quite a few of those at Anfield. Mo Salah's goal scoring continues. I mean, it was just a great shape to the side. That's kind of Liverpool. And by the way, Klopp's record stacks up against the opposing manager.
Sure.
I think it's, 17 games now, I was reading, that's 7 wins apiece, and he's managing weaker teams.
Yep.
So he's not frightened to go against Pep, who I think showed a tiny little bit of weakness in terms of the way he picked his team. Now, I've just been reading some quotes, and by leaving Sterling out, who you might say, well, he didn't have a good game at Anfield the last time, and the crowd are going to get on his back. He's got 20 goals this year.
Yep.
16 in the league, 4 in the Champions League. Leaves him on the bench. Goes with Gundogan. Says, he's quoted after the game because he was asked, I wanted to have a midfielder who could make some runs from deep. I wanted to try and control the midfield. Well, it didn't work. And that was the first sign, I think, we've seen from him going against the grain of what they've been so good at this year. And that was being, by their standards, just a little bit negative in his team selection.
But what happened, if people didn't see the first half, this Manchester City side you wouldn't recognise. Couldn't put 2 passes together. Looked like they'd never seen each other before.
I think you've got to turn around and give Liverpool credit for that.
Right.
2 of the goals are because Liverpool closed the ball, won the second ball. The first man put pressure on the pass, and then when it goes clear, then they're after Manchester City. I would agree with Craig that he did try and change it. I personally think he made the right choice.
Because they're away from home.
Yeah.
Because they were away from home.
Because they're away from home.
But that's not what he does, is it?
And because Sterling, the last time Sterling played at Anfield, he bottled it. He absolutely couldn't handle it. And I think coming into such a big game, I think that came into consideration. But again, for Liverpool, it's a perfect storm. You know, going forward, you score 3 goals. You couldn't dream of getting 3 goals in this game. But I'll tell you what, you couldn't dream of more. Keeping a clean sheet.
Yep.
And Karius didn't have a real proper save to make the whole game.
Yeah, at some point, if you're Manchester City, you got to understand who you're playing against and the environment. You've been there before. You know exactly what Liverpool feeds off of, and that's the energy of Anfield and the way that they play. They like to be out of control, manic. They like that game to be up and back and high pressure all over the field. At some point, if you're Manchester City, you have to be able to take the air out of the ball. I know that you want to be all pretty. I know that everything has to be sort of entertaining and everybody the possession and ball movement and all those things. If you're going to hold on to the ball on the attacking side, not on your defending side. I go back again to the point that Pep Guardiola at times, stubbornly, he hangs on to the idea that they have to play out of the back every time. Well, in doing so, plays right into what Liverpool wants to do, turn the ball over in attacking areas, and from there go on the counter, and from there score the goals. And it happened time and time again. And eventually, you have to learn from this. If you're going to try to outrun Liverpool at Anfield, good luck with that. That's never going to happen.
Can't be an error-strewn performance again. Said that yesterday on the show.
Yeah.
It's the big thing that City had to avoid against. Didn't matter if Liverpool had more possession, what they didn't. Didn't matter if City had a bad day with the ball in the final third, which they had. And Sané was in several good positions, particularly in the second half, as Liverpool sat back. It didn't matter about that. That's not a disaster. What is a disaster is when you're giving the ball away 80 yards from your goal and still getting cut out for the first one. When you've got a goal kick and Ederson rolls it out to Otamendi, who goes off and some sort of mazy dribbling out and loses the ball, they steal it back because it's just stupid, and all of a sudden that's the third goal going in. You can't afford to do that against quality players, and that's what Liverpool have got.
We thought, certainly I thought, this game is going to be open for 90 minutes. Because you know, both teams struggled defensively. There's no way this is not going to be open attacking for 9 minutes. I couldn't believe the second half that Liverpool sat for 45 minutes and defensively, other than that questionable challenge from Robertson that could have been a penalty, which could have completely changed this tie, by the way, that away goal, I can't believe Liverpool for 45 minutes gave them nothing defensively. Lovren,
that's what I was going to say.
My
Lovren
nemesis, Lovren, never put a foot wrong. Got every single challenge right. Stayed on his feet when he had to.
By the way, every Liverpool ball into the box in the first half looked as if it had a disaster written on it
Yep.
from Man City.
Yep.
I mean, it just did.
And why is that? Can you put your finger on why City looked so vulnerable? Why were so error-strewn, as you put it, at the back?
That's not a huge shock, is it? We've been saying for how long we've been talking about how the way they play, they look vulnerable at the back. So that's not a surprise. What they did going forward is a surprise. How many times did we see them throwing balls in to Liverpool's box to a 5-foot Jesus
Yep.
against Van Dijk and Lovren? Van Dijk's what, 6'4"? Lovren slightly smaller at 6'2" or 3.
Oh, okay.
I mean, really.
Right.
That's
got them
what shocked me. That's what shocked me.
That's slightly smaller. That's good.
By the way, it's got it's going to be a great second leg.
Well, let's talk about the
telling
second
you,
leg.
I don't feel safe.
Before we show the SPI, Stevie, how would you set this? Before we see how would you set this in your world?
That's a difficult world, by the way.
We've seen Liverpool lose 3-goal leads at home, never mind away from home, against worse teams than City. So I can tell you I don't feel safe. I'm going to say the SPI has got it 75 or 70 to 30 or 25.
It's got to be higher, isn't it? 3-0 going into the second leg.
It should be.
No
because,
away
by the
goal.
way, the SPI doesn't take into account the fact that Stevie gets nervous.
Yes.
I know there was a sending off in the league game, but that was 5.
Yeah, that was 5.
I mean, it's unlikely, but not impossible.
Yeah. Well, how would
because-
you have it, Craig, before we show it?
All right, I would have it 80-20.
80-20? Let's take a look. This is what the SPI has to say. 93 to 7.
Uh-oh,
You're
now
all but
he's
done,
nervous.
Stevie.
Now he's nervous.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I'm not.
I mean, it's unlikely.
So obviously, if Liverpool score 1, City need to score 5.
Yeah,
That's
I mean-
that is the big
Yeah.
thing, isn't it? Going into this.
It's a great position to be in. A fabulous position to be in. And it's unlikely to happen. Unlikely to happen. But if Aguero's fit, or he's available, and he plays an attacking side, and he will, and they don't make mistakes if they get an early goal, Salah might be missing.
Yep.
Henderson, the captain, suspended, can't play. These are all factors.
Can I just tell you that I've never seen a man who's up 3-0 and just having difficulties dealing with the fact that it's 3-0. It's like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we gonna... that shouldn't be Liverpool's problem. That should be Pep Guardiola's problem. And somehow Stevie just can't handle it. It's like, God, 3-0. This is terrible.
I know, it really was.
But that's the killer they got. Was that not City's problem last year when they faced Monaco? They were chasing. They had to chase things.
Yep.
And left themselves open. They left themselves too much. Did you say? Sorry, if they get, because I'm a bit scrambled here.
Yep.
If they get one Liverpool on the road,
City need 5.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Yeah.
that there
That
you
should
go.
be it. It should be done and
There you go.
dusted, Stevie, isn't it?
It should be. I said we've seen Liverpool losing 3 goals before.
But the fact you can score a goal,
Yes.
that's a massive difference. isn't it?
Absolutely.
Let's fast forward. Craig mentioned it. How much of a difference, and this is a stupid question, but it hasn't stopped me in the past, does Salah not being on the pitch make going into that second leg if he doesn't recover?
Of course, it makes a difference. The guy, absolutely is on fire going forward. And if you're the opposition and you see the team sheet and Salah's on it, then it gives you a problem.
Right.
If you're the coach, it gives you a problem. You look at the team sheet, and as well as Oxlade took his goal today, if it's somebody like him, then it's a different ball game. You certainly are not quite as worried at all.
I think it's huge, and I tell you why. Because all Liverpool have to do, I say all they have to do at the Etihad is pinch a goal.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what they do, they could have 10% possession.
Yep.
You'll have to pinch a goal,
Yep.
and as you said, they need 5. So that's why he's going to be a mess if unavailable.
And on the other hand, Manchester City, and we have to point the finger at players here. Kevin De Bruyne has to be better. David Silva has to be better with the ball at his feet. Leroy Sané, when he gets in good positions, got to provide a good service or provide a final product to that possession. Gabriel Jesus, I don't think is as big a presence as Sergio Aguero. So if Aguero is on the field, then that makes a difference. Raheem Sterling has to be active. Manchester City has to play their best game of the season in order to have a chance to advance.
I didn't think before this game Liverpool had 2 ways of playing.
Right, yep.
Because we knew
You've
they could
talked
go
about this
forward.
before
Yeah.
as well.
But this second half performance convinced me, and it certainly should convince the rest of the players, that they actually can defend when they need to.